Hey guys, it's Donald Heslop here, two-time CCIE and owner and principal of Padlock Technologies. What I want to do is continue the discussion that we had on secure access or Cisco secure access. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the fundamental thing that's needed, which is the uh, backhaul tunnels. Now, there's a couple ways you can do backhaul tunnels. We are going to talk about the two methods of doing it and then why that's there. So let's go to the green screen, not even the green screen. Let's go to the whiteboard and figure out why you need backhaul tunnels in secure access. All right, so we're on the whiteboard here. So first things first, we are going to distinguish the two. So there's two type of backhaul tunnels. There are your normal static VTIs, and then there's your RCs, which are called resource connectors. So here's the difference between the two, and I'll show you exactly what it is. So we're going to use blue here to represent the SASE cloud. So we'll do SASE cloud. Now this is the first thing you need to set up when you actually do secure access. So there's your traditional static VTI. Now what can you do with static VTIs? This is for the use case for this is if you want to do, dynamic routing. Dynamic routing. RCs have no dynamic routing. Dynamic routing. Now the dynamic routing here, the protocol for that is going to be BGP. BGP. All right, so what you would normally do here is you would have something like two routers. Just say this is your data center edge or something like that, or your WAN block. You'd have an ISR 1 and ISR 2. Now what you're going to do is you're going to have two tunnels on each ISR going to SASE cloud, right? And then you're going to run. Now you can also do static, by the way. I didn't say that either, but I don't normally tell people to run static because it really depends on your use case. Because when you run BGP, you get, if someone else had a different site, let's say this was another single router, so a single ISR at a branch site, it's running dynamic. Whatever you got downstream, just to say this is a core switch down here, and this is another switch down here. When you advertise those routes into the cloud, or into SASE cloud, they get advertised down to the neighbor. Now, on the ISR itself, you can do some kind of filtering mechanism to not get all the routes if you want to. And this is why you would use ISRs for this. But this doesn't technically have to be ISR routers. These can be firewalls, FTDs, ASAs, PANs, Fortinets. Doesn't really matter what it is. As long as it can do a VTI tunnel and do BGP over the top, you're pretty much good to go at that point. So what happens here? Now, the good thing about the SASE cloud, if you want to actually send your internet traffic up there, what Cisco Secure Access will do is it will send quad zeros down. So it will send the default route down here. And here. And then you can pretty much, you can do PBR down here if you wanted to, or I'll say PBR is an option, or you can just send straight everything out to SASE cloud. Now, reason why people normally do this is because they want to basically manage all their internet traffic using one policy, right? And that's a unified policy for data center or for your branch sites. This is typically what people are going to do. Again, if you run BGP over the top, you will, get a default route. You can also say don't send the default route, and then the only thing that gets down here is your individual sites. Now, because you're advertising those routes, into SASE Cloud, you could technically use this for site-to-site connectivity, right? Because I'm advertising routes from the branch sites and from the data centers. I can technically go through, I'll use yellow, I can go through SASE Cloud to get here or to get here. Now, I normally don't tell people to do that, but you can also, I would say this is for backup purposes. You know, you lose your main tunneling mechanism, you would use this as a backup tunnel to get to sites. And you can actually do this. You'll have to create a policy for it, but you can actually do this. So this is the purpose of static, not static, or static VTIs with dynamic routing over the top. Now, the reason why this is important, because you have resources down in your data centers or at your branch sites. When people, and this is going to be another use case here, when people try to remote in using RAVPN as a service, you got your users here. I'll just say user. When they connect into RAVPN as a service, when they need to get the resources, we'll draw up here. When they get into the SASE cloud and try to get resources, these backhaul tunnels, static VTI tunnels, the one method, that needs to be created first so that SASE, or Cisco Secure Access, knows how to get to a resource that's in a data center over here. Let's say this was a web server, right? Well, without this connectivity here, when they try to actually get to this web server, SASE Cloud's like, I don't know how to get there, right? And if you're using something like FQDN, you're going to have to use a on-prem DNS server to resolve it. Well, if you don't know how to get there through these backhaul tunnels, you can't do any DNS resolution, and then these users can't get to any of the resources internally. So that is method number one of a backhaul tunnel using static VTI BGP over the top. It's always going to be BGP, and then you can just redistribute whatever internal protocol you got into SASE Cloud. So now the next one here is resource. I really hope I did not spell this wrong. Resource connectors. Now, with resource connectors, what that does is, we'll do the SASE Cloud again. SASE Cloud. Now, with the SASE Cloud, with resource connectors, these are small VMs that are sitting in your data center. You either use, and I'll have some over here. All right, these are small VMs that sit in your data center. Actually, 1, 2, 3. And what they do is they do a connection back to SASE, right? They do a connection back to the SASE cloud. And then you tell SASE, hey, I have an app here, app 1, app here, 2, app here, 3. Same thing on this side. App 1, app 2, app 3. Now, when someone from the outside user connects in via RAVPN, just say RAVPN user connects in there. What you do is basically say you say this application is going to be served by this resource group or this resource connector. This resource connector is app 2, this resource connector is app 3, and the same on the other data center. And then when users connect, what they do is they connect in through RAVPN. They use the FQDN to get there, or they can use IPs, but you can use the FQDN most of the time to get to your applications. And then SASE will say, okay, well, if it's app 1, say app 1 dot whatever your company is, company.com, is behind resource connector 1. So when you type in that FQDN, it says, okay, that's located behind this resource connector. It's going to do a tunnel to that resource connector, which tunnels that connectivity to the application. So basically, you just think about this as a proxy for your connections, right? Now, why would you do this? Now, you would normally do this when you have same IP space in multiple locations. All right. Now, to avoid doing a whole bunch of re-IPing and everything, you would just drop these resource connectors in a location and then take your private resources, because that's what they call them in Cisco Secure Access. You take your private resources, you connect them to the resource connector, and then when people try to look it up when they connect through our VPN, they can get to every application, even though these applications share technically the same IP space. To secure access or SASE cloud, they all look like they're individual apps, even though they got the same IP spaces in different locations. So these are the two methods that you need to set up. Most people do the backhaul tunnels. They really don't do resource connectors unless they have a specific reason to do so. But you need to set this up before you get into the next video, which is how do I get users into secure access? Now, if this sounds like something you want to set up, look in the description. I have a white paper that you can go to and read up a little bit more about how SASE can help, change your whole WAN infrastructure. Or you can also book a one-on-one consultant so we can see what's going on with your network, see how we can implement SASE in your environment, and then take you to the next generation of WAN connectivity. This is Donald Hustle once again, principal and owner of Padlock Technologies, and I hope you found this video very informative, and here's the next video. Thank you.